Hello, welcome to Crack Shot Chronicles. Today I'd like to reply to one of the YouTubers called the Yankee Marshal. He did put out some good information about YouTube sellouts. Now I'm a small gun channel. I'm probably a speck on the radar on YouTube. I just started out. But I want to make sure that everyone out there knows where I come from and what my values are. Because I don't want people to think that I'm just another channel that sells out. He had about 9 or 10 different points that he asked YouTubers to tell the audience about themselves that would tell everyone out there where they stood on certain topics. So I wrote them down. I'm going to just go ahead and read them off, tell you what my opinion is on where I stand. Okay, I'm just going to go down like a list. The first one is I am trying to be a good gun advocate for our Second Amendment rights. So I want to make sure that I'm a good point of light for people who want to learn how to defend themselves should the need come. There's a lot of training you can get out there. There's a lot of places that teaches you this. But I think a lot of people can't afford, like myself, I can't afford to go out there and spend thousands of dollars on training. Now, I was trained by the United States Marine Corps, and I did 13 years active duty in the Marines and 9 in the Army National Guard in North Carolina. So approximately 22 years of service. I think I'm pretty good at hitting what I'm aiming at, and I know a couple of defensive tactical stuff that I believe the knowledge in my head is better suited if I shared it with people who have less experience than I. I firmly believe that knowledge kept is knowledge wasted. So that's the reason why I'm putting out my YouTube channel, because I don't want to find out or read in the paper somebody who got attacked, they had a gun and they didn't know how to use it properly, and as a result they ended up pulling the gun and losing the battle. So I'm going to go ahead and, there's a bug in here, so if you see me swatting around, I'm not having an epileptic seizure or anything like that, it's just there's a bug in here trying to sting me. Okay, so right off the bat, I am not being paid by anyone, no organization. Everything that I do is funded directly by my income, which I'm not going to reveal what I do for a living, but it has absolutely nothing to do with guns. So there's no gun companies paying me to put out these videos. Nobody's given me firearms to review, which I will have some reviews coming up. But any review that I have on a gun does not mean that I approve or disapprove of that company's model. If I'm reviewing a gun, it's because I happen to purchase it, I own it, and I'm going to let you know what my experiences with that particular gun is. Okay. Number 3 here is no Second Amendment compromises. I believe wholeheartedly that the Second Amendment gives every man and woman in the United States who can legally obtain a firearm, they should be allowed to have a firearm. I believe that wholeheartedly in my heart, that the rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That doesn't mean may not be infringed. Shall not. Definitely. No ifs, ands, or buts. I believe anybody who has the legal right to own a firearm should be allowed to own a firearm and use it in defense of their life or their family from any enemy, foreign or domestic. I do not believe that we as gun owners should make compromises when the government wants to do something. For example, bump stock. I don't like the bump stock concept. I don't see anything wrong with it. If you want one, that's up to you. Me personally, I can't afford the ammunition that's going to be expended by shooting something in full auto or with a bump stock. So I also believe that your accuracy is greatly diminished. At close range, it may be cool and fun to fire something in full auto. I was in the military, I fired full auto. I know what it's like. It doesn't do anything for me. It feels, you're just wasting a lot of ammo. And you're not really hitting what you're aiming at unless you're at close range. At ranges where a rifle would be deployed, it just doesn't make sense to have a fully automatic weapon, whether it is fully automatic or it's firing fast because of a bump stock. To me, it doesn't make sense. I'm not saying it makes sense for you. If you want one, fine, go get one. It's up to you. But I don't see the thrill of it. Okay. So I don't believe that we should make compromises by saying, okay, we're going to give you this right that you're fighting for. In exchange, you have to surrender this other right. Now, I understand the ATF has already established that bump stocks are not illegal, and the NRA is trying to negotiate and say things like, well, we think that it's okay for the ATF to reevaluate the bump stock to see if the bump stock should be banned or not. Well, I'm totally against that. They've already established, the ATF has already established that the bump stock is not an illegal item. They've done it twice, so I don't see the logic behind doing it a third time. Therefore, I'm totally against us surrendering one right in order to protect another right, regardless of which right we're talking about. Number 4, do I support the NRA? I've been a long-time supporter of the NRA until I got more involved with their ins and outs of the NRA, and I realized that the NRA is constantly contradicting what their mission goal is. They're supposed to be an advocate for our gun rights to keep us from losing our gun rights, but they are willing to surrender one gun right in exchange to give us a different gun right. I'm totally against that. I think none of our gun rights should be compromised. Number 5, should felons who want guns once they do their time be allowed to have a gun for personal protection? That answer is really tricky. If the felon is a felon because he had a DUI, because he left from a party and got a DUI and now he's a felon, let's say he committed vehicular homicide because he was drunk driving, I believe that person is not at his core an evil person. He was just drunk, was irresponsible, and as a result had an incident that resulted in the fatality of another human being. He's already served his time. In that case, that type of felon, I believe, should be allowed to have a firearm if they've never had a problem with breaking the law with a firearm before. Now, if the felon is a bank robber, a burglar, an armed robber, a murderer, a serial killer, does his time and gets out, no. That type of felon should never be allowed to have a firearm. That's how I feel about should felons be allowed to have firearms. Number 6, national reciprocity. I believe that if you live in a state and you are issued a concealed carry permit, you should be allowed to take that concealed weapon any of the 50 states in the United States. Period. Number 7, UBC, which is the Universal Background Checks, or 4473. I don't think they work. I think it's a nice attempt to give the anti-gun lobbyists a warm and fuzzy feeling. But if a person passes a universal background check, that's not going to stop them from committing a crime. The only thing the universal background checks do is prevent a law-abiding citizen from being able to defend himself if he knows that the threat of imminent death or grave bodily harm is present, because he knows somebody's trying to kill him, and he decides, I've never had a gun before, but this guy's really frightening me, so I need a gun to protect myself. A classic example would be a housewife who has 2 kids, and she has a husband who's threatening to kill her, beats her senseless, puts her in the hospital, she's comatose, she comes out of it, they're fighting for divorce court, she puts a restraining order on him, he turns around, looks her dead in the eye and tells her, I'm going to kill you. That woman should not have to wait 10 days to go get a gun. So that's the only thing that the UBC is doing. It is causing people who are law-abiding citizens to be delayed in their ability to obtain a gun for personal protection. It doesn't stop criminals from getting guns, because criminals never, well, I'm not going to say never because maybe some do, but criminals who are with intent to do harm will not be deterred from obtaining a firearm if they fail a criminal background check. Number 8, the 10-day waiting period for the criminal background check. I think I already covered it with number 7. I don't think that you should be forced to wait 5 days or 10 days or 15 days for a criminal background check to come back. You should just be able to go to any gun store, lay down your money, and purchase the gun. Let's see what's next here. I guess that was 8. The next one's number 9. Do I believe that we should be allowed to have full auto? Yes. I believe that anybody who can legally obtain a firearm should be able to buy a machine gun if they want to. Me personally, I don't have a need for a machine gun. I know there's a lot of people out there who believe that if a civil war were to come, they would want a machine gun. Well, if a civil war were to come, if this country were to go into chaos, into a holocaustal society where there is no law enforcement available for us to protect ourselves, it's not going to matter because everybody's going to be breaking the law anyway. There's no law anymore. If you kill a person who's trying to kill you and they happen to have a machine gun, you'll have their machine gun. Now you have full auto capability because there's no law in a situation like that. But in this time where we're in peace, and there is an infrastructure with law and order, I don't see why any law-abiding citizen who can legally obtain a firearm should be deprived of his choice of having a fully automatic firearm. I don't want one. I don't have a need for one. But if you want one, I don't see why you shouldn't be able to get it. That's the 9 points that were talked about in the video by the Yankee Marshal. And I believe that if you are a YouTuber, a gun channel, it's your duty to inform your viewers of where you stand on these issues. That's the only reason why I'm doing it. As I said before, my goal is to give information out to new gun shooters, novice shooters, so that they can protect themselves from the threat of an attack by somebody who wants to kill them. And I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm doing this completely of my own free will. And I'm just doing it for the pleasure of being able to share the knowledge that I have. If you like this video, please click on subscribe and also leave a comment. I appreciate all your comments, whether they're positive or negative. As long as you keep them clean, we can discuss things like civilized people. I'm good with it. Also, please hit like. It does help me if you view this video, if you hit like. Thank you so very much for watching Crack Josh Chronicles. Have a good day.